Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over some of the very basic suspension setup for your mountain bike. So stay tuned and let's have some fun. The only tool that you will need to make adjustments to your suspension is a high pressure shock pump. And you can buy one of these at your local bike shop or off Amazon. There's all sorts of places you can find it, Google. But you will need one of these in order to make any changes to your suspension on your mountain bike. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our front fork. So we want to make sure that the fork is all the way in the open position up top on your compression damper, which is usually facing towards the front of the bike. And then we're going to go down to the rebound damper and we're going to open that all the way as well to the full fast position. Alright, we're going to run our rebound damper to the full fast position. And if your knob falls out like mine did, you can put an Allen key in there to open it the rest of the way. Now that we're ready with the front fork, having the compression and rebound fully open, we're going to want to put on whatever you wear when you go riding. This is all about weight. So if you got your helmet, put that on. If you wear a bag with water, put the bag on with the water in it, so that way we can get a good representation of how much your person will actually weigh while riding your bike. Once we're all set up with what we're going to wear, hop on the bike and we're just going to go ahead, get up over it, put your pedals into a good position for bouncing, find a nice wall somewhere, you can put a hand down, and then we're just going to bounce up and down. Okay, once you bounced a couple times, it broke that suspension loose, we're going to slide this O-ring, that red O-ring right there, we're going to slide that down towards the top of your wiper seal, this rubber seal right here. Once we've slid that down, we're going to very carefully, without moving too much on the front fork, step off the back of your bike. Now that we've done that, you can see this O-ring is showing us how far down this top stanchion goes into the lower leg with our weight on the bike. So we're going to take a measurement of that with a tape measure. Most mountain bike forks will have a different amount of travel, so that's the length between this section right here, the top of the crown, to your wiper seal. So on this particular bike, we have 150 millimeters of travel. Now, the typical is you're going to have between 20 to 30% of your travel will be used as your sag on your bike. That way your bike feels nice and comfortable when you're riding. 20% means it rides a little harder. 30% means it rides a little softer. So we take 30% of 150 millimeters and we get just over 45 millimeters worth of travel. So right now I could use to lose a little air. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to take the air out. To change the amount of pressure in your air leg on your fork, you're going to remove your top cap and it's going to show a Schrader valve right in the top there. Now we connect our shock pump that we had purchased beforehand. We're going to connect that right to that valve inside the top of this leg. And go ahead and screw it on and it will show how much pressure you have in that leg of the bike. So in this case, we're going to want to add a little bit more pressure so that way we're at 30% of our travel. Now we just repeat the same step with getting on top of the bike and bounce again. Okay, so we're back on our bike again. Get your pedals to a good position for you. I usually lead left foot forward. And we're going to slide our ring down, start bouncing. Okay, once you've done that, go ahead and slide the ring down, and we're going to take another measurement. Okay, so we're measuring from the top of your rubber wiper seal to the bottom of this, I guess the bottom of the fork leg here, right at this point where it says we're at 150 millimeters. So we come down here and measure, we are at 45 millimeters. So that is perfectly 30% of my travel on a 150 millimeter fork. The front is all set up for our sag setting. Now to get to the rear shock. First thing we're going to do, same as before, is we're going to open up our rebound to the fully fast setting. Now we're going to hop on the bike. And we're just going to kind of do the same thing as before. You can either use a brake to do this or you can do it without a brake. I think technically it's a better result when you don't have the brake, but you're kind of splitting the atom at this point. So just go ahead and bounce down really hard on the bike. Okay, when you get to a good position, go ahead and slide that same O-ring as on the other side on the front fork. Same O-ring down here. Slide it up. Gently get off the bike. And then take a look and see what your sag setting is at. So as you can see here, we're sitting maybe 25% sag right now on here, which I actually kind of like, but for the heck of it, let's go ahead and we'll get rid of just a little bit of air and we'll get it down to that 30%. So to do that, we have to remove this little air cap right here. All right, we're going to connect our shock pump to the valve. All right, and we are showing 150, 60, 70, 80, 180 psi pressure, so I'm going to drop at 5 psi. It goes by real fast in here because 180 psi or 160 psi, that's a fair amount of pressure you have in this tiny little can. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect and see where our sag's sitting now. See where we're at. Okay, sitting like that. Now it is easier to do this with a friend, but if you do it enough, you get used to it. Let's find a nice wall. All right, gently step off the back so as not to move your rear shock. So at this point, I accidentally cut my head off for the rest of the footage. It's been kind of an interesting week, so I apologize, but we had set our sag at 30% on the rear shock. So the bike was good to go as far as the sag setting. In one of our upcoming videos, we'll go over what compression and rebound does, and look forward to doing that with you. As always, thanks for watching the video. If you get a chance, go out and ride that bike. We'll see you next time.